I'm Addy, and welcome to the very first episode of Between Brief podcast, the podcast where we sit down with Australia's digital builders and talk all things digital, with a bit of banter along the way, of course. And for episode one, I've brought in someone very special. Someone who makes brands look better, websites feel sharper, stories land harder, and the rest of us question whether our taste is actually any good at all. I'm proud to welcome the legendary Ramiro Salgado, creative director, strategist, storyteller, brand builder, and from what I can tell, someone who's made an awesome career out of turning vague ideas into things that look, feel, and work like they belong out of this world. So, Rami, welcome to Between Briefs. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a bit about the amazing work that you do.
Yeah, thank you for the invite and thank you for that great introduction. What can I tell you about myself? Okay, so an independent creative working with brands in the intersection of storytelling, digital experiences. I build narrative-driven ecosystem that connects brands with modern culture and turn audiences into communities. Let's put it this way: I started in the film industry long time ago, working in one of the most prestigious production companies in Colombia, where I am from. And I fell in love with, of course, all the ecosystem in which you can actually turn some visions and some fictional stories into life. Then I became aware and I was really into the development of digital infrastructure. We're talking about at least 2010, 2011, in which was this revolution in the industry, in the tech industry, with all these software as a service companies. So I always wanted to integrate both industries, and find the way to explore new ideas and explore new ways to connect brands with the storytelling and with digital experiences.
That's amazing. You're at an awesome intersection and you're good at something that a lot of people want to be good at. And it sounds very exciting what the field you are in. Can you maybe tell us a bit about how it started? What kinds of film were you working on and how that eventually led to digital experiences as well?
Well, let's get back to to my uni. I always been really interested about businesses, technology, and narrative-driven stories, because there's a different ways of storytelling, but I love the narrative-driven storytelling. So I got a degree in la Universidad de La Sabana in Colombia, an audiovisual communicator and multimedia specialist. And I started doing in Colombia. There's something that you have to do. I don't know if it's the same here in Australia, but in Colombia, at the end of your career, you need to have like an internship or something in a company. I started with, so I started working in La Casa Editorial El Tiempo, which is one of the most prestigious newspapers in Colombia. But when I was working in El Tiempo, I noticed that I was not so fascinated about news. I was more fascinated about how to bring to life fictional stories. So at that time in Colombia, the film industry was really small. So I just like I remember I don't know if I went to the yellow pages or to Google and start looking for companies, and I called one of these companies, which is called Dinamo Producciones, which now is one of the most prestigious companies in Colombia, production companies in Colombia. So I called them and I told them like, "Hey, how are you? I'm Rami. I'm working in La Casa Editorial El Tiempo, but I would love to see if you got an opportunity to work in one of your projects or even in your company." And they told me, "Yeah, come tomorrow. We'll see how it goes." So I went there. I have my interview. It was perfect. So I started working and I started as a production assistant. And from there, I started making movies. Not so many local movies, but most of them production services for the US. And Colombia has like different incentives in terms of taxes. So there are a lot of companies from the US that come to Colombia to shoot. It's pretty much the same that what they do here in Australia. So yeah, so I was working there. So as soon as you got like the experience to work with one of these big studios in the US, people want to work more with you because you already understand like the workflow, right? So I did some production with Lifetime, with Sony Entertainment Television, with Universal, with Participant Media, and more companies. However, I stayed there in Dynamo like 2 years, 3 years, or a couple of years, let's say. And the company was not that big at that point, which now it is. But at that point, I was like, okay, maybe I'll do something on my own. And I was captivated by the SaaS revolution. So I remember, so with that storytelling, social media was coming out. We already got like Facebook a couple of years, but Facebook was not what it is right now. And Instagram was just starting. So I said, okay, I want to bring something that convey both, convey storytelling and convey digital experience because I've been always keen to learn more about technology, about more about how to tell a story, and more about business. And I thought it was a really great idea at that point. And yeah, so basically, I started the first cashback website in Colombia. I believed it was one of the best experiences that I got in terms of how I passed from one industry to another, and I started understanding I start understanding like how the businesses were developing in a new era of communication and in a new era of media. We understanding that at that point, basically, Instagram was just a platform in which you just post your pictures and have like that social interaction. But we knew that there was something else about what was coming, and we started this cashback website. We have great time doing it, and that's when at that point I knew nothing about technology, nothing about code, nothing about anything, anything. Just I was just a user, and I love like the experience that you have as a user with all these platforms. I'm always like trying to understand what's behind every single decision in terms of design or in terms of user experience or in terms of customer experience of in terms of why your user interface looks like this and why it doesn't look like the opposite way. Yeah, so I started learning a little bit about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and that's how basically I got into the digital like industry. My company at that point was called boomits.com. It was doing like fine. I was learning a little bit more with my partners about startups and how entrepreneurship worked in Colombia at that point. So, well, basically, we burned a lot of money, and at the end, we have to close the company. We had really great experience. We learned a lot, but yeah, the company failed. So we were at a point. I was like trying to decide what I'm gonna do next. I have no money. I have no company. I have no job. What should I do? And then basically the people that work with me in other projects start calling me like, hey, you have to come back. The cinema is your thing. Come back to the cinema. Come back to the cinema. Come back to make films. That's what you're actually good at. That's And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start again, but in the film industry again.
You've already established how good a storyteller you are just by walking me through that amazing story, man. And I've always believed that experience, you cannot put a price on experience. So I would say don't be a little hard on yourself. That company wasn't a failure. It is the reason why you are here today, right?
No, completely, completely, completely. Sometimes failing is a good way to move on into new things. So at that point in time, I was like, oh no, I felt really ashamed. I felt frustrated. I felt like my world was going against me. But now, if like Steve Jobs said, if you try to connect the dots, you understand why those things happen. And it was really organic. I could have stayed working in Dynamo, making movies. Why not? But I wanted a risk. Sometimes is that thing that, hey, I want to do it, and if you don't do it at that point, basically, then in 5, 10 years, you're gonna be like, oh, why I didn't do it, and you will regret not making the decision at that point. At this point in my career, I will tell you, like, of course, I feel bad that the company closed, that the project was not as, let's put it in this way, as we wanted at that point. But the market was not ready for even for that type of project. So that was like one of the best lessons that we got. Sometimes when you start as an entrepreneur in the startup ecosystem, you believe that the best idea is the one who's gonna get funding. The best idea is the one that's gonna get traction from clients, from users. And at the end, when it's just an idea or when you're just starting, everything is just like a dream. But when you put that product in the market is when you actually start understanding how business actually work. And in terms of technology and digital ecosystems, it's even more important, that part. So just to give you an overview, at that point, cashback websites was something that was really innovative all around the world, but in Latin America or in Colombia. So we did all our market research. We actually talked with people from companies like Cashback, Quipco, which was a company in the UK that was a cashback website, and there were two others that I cannot remember the name. Those were in the US, and they were really important as well at that point. And the whole affiliate programs started at that point. So Everyone was copying an API, copying the API in vendors' websites, so they can actually have this tracking pixel, so they can notice when your purchases come from one affiliate to the retail or something like that. And in Colombia, that was really new. Affiliate programs worked around more advertisement and marketing, more than into the relation of having a cashback. So we talked with our idea at the beginning was like, okay, we want to create something. Look, I'm talking about 2012, I believe it was. So we started with, we want this idea that people can buy with their credit card and they get their cash back completely automatically to their accounts. And at that point, it was really nobody. No one was doing only these companies that I told you. There was one in the US. I don't remember the name. Maybe it's still there. Mogul. Mogul is the name of that company. Exactly, that it's only focused on restaurants and hospitality venues. So yeah, we were like, oh, we're doing something great. The problem was when we had to talk with the banks, and when we have to talk with Visa or Mastercard. So basically, when we had those meetings, we were like, okay, our business is completely innovative. This is a really great startup that's gonna help a lot of small businesses and retail companies, whatever. Yeah, basically all those banks were like, oh, I don't know what's cashback. I don't know what you're talking about. And why would we provide information from our clients if you don't have the capacity to secure their data? We were like, oh, yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's why I'm telling you, we were like, I believe we were like very early in the market. So, yeah, those doors from financial institutions were closed. So then we have to start with alternatives. So, okay, let's see what can we do. And the best idea we had at that point was, let's put people to take pictures of their invoices and upload the invoices to our website or to our app, and then we provide them the cashback. And of course, only with the invoices of the retails and vendors that were part of our ecosystem. It worked well, but that was, well, it didn't work well, but that was the only alternative that we got at the moment. And why we did it, it was because, like I told you, Instagram was at that point starting, so everyone was taking pictures of everything. So we said like, why people won't take a picture of their invoice if they're gonna get some cashback? Yeah, and no, it was a lot of friction for people. Yeah, but that's the amazing part of startups and putting your product in the market. I didn't really understand as well, but people were complaining like, oh man, I'm gonna just get 2% back. So why would I put the time to take a picture to my receipt?
So much efforts into it.
We said like, yeah, but you're getting 10%, and that was like our
You're
exactly, and
getting the
that was our
10%.
point. But yeah, people basically were to focus in other type of offers like Groupon, Couponatic, so more about discounts than cashback, because the term cashback was actually new in Colombia. Nobody knew what cashback was. So yeah, and that happened. So we learned a lot of things during the process, and that make us realize like, okay, it's not just only about having a great idea, because sometimes you need to rely on third parties like your customers. You can have a great product, but if your customers are not keen to use it, man, don't take it that long. For me, in my perspective, if you're starting a startup, you have 6 to 8 months. If in those 6 to 8 months you don't prove the traction of your idea of your product, basically it means you're starting after those 8 months, you're gonna start wasting money. You're gonna start burning cash. So, and that's something that I learned during that period. Sometimes it's not even that you can have a great idea, but it's not the perfect time to implement that idea. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, that's amazing. And from your example, it also shows how clearly that you have a great idea, but you have to make sure that your target market understands it first. In your case, they did not, as you said, understand the concept of cashback, and maybe educating them should also have been one thing. But I guess this this segues right into the next question that I had, which is what separates a brand from merely looking premium from a brand that actually earns its target market's attention, trust, and it actually invites them to take action.
Mm, I would say consistency and authority. I've been working with a lot of brands, with a lot of people, and sometimes people believe that this, for example, the digital world is just one product. So, for example, your website. Your website is just one part of your whole authority in the web. So if you can have a really great website, but if you have zero presence in your social media, basically you're not a brand. You don't have the authority. You're just building products that don't connect themselves. So I think that's the difference between both. And it's not about quality. I don't believe it's about quality. Of course, great design has to be there, but great design in terms of understanding what who's your target market. Because if you notice right now, people are really like focused on, oh no, AI can make great things, amazing websites, and with just one prompt, and is yeah, cool. But what's your target market? If you don't understand your target market, it's like pointless. If AI or cloud code can create or cloud design can create something great or not, it's about you understanding it. And the job of an entrepreneur, of a business person, is not about building your website and understanding those type of things. It's about understanding your business and how to make a business grow. So yeah, I believe that's the difference. And for example, now in terms of storytelling, I believe we are gonna pass with this revolution with AI. We're gonna pass from social media to interest media. So basically, we were for 10 years or more in this interacting with people that wanted to know more about others' lives, others' interests. So now it's gonna be more about myself. It's gonna be like, okay, I want to be a filmmaker. So who provides that information about that I need and that I want to digest the best way I can to become a filmmaker. Okay, if I want to build my brand, who's that person or that profile that's gonna give me those tools for me to understand a little bit more, because AI is something that is really great in terms of productivity, but also what I believe AI is gonna bring more crap, more rubbish to any type of media, because now everyone can create more and more easy.
Yeah, AI is 100% changing a lot of things in this digital world and age. People, it's amazingly easy to create content. It's amazingly easy to build a product. It's basically anyone with with an average, even so to say, an averagely working brain. They just think of an idea, they input it in the AI, and at max, the next day it's live. So in this day and age where it is so easy to build what you want, where do you think human thinking, critical thinking still matters? And where in that way, where can you maybe help future founders out there in understanding where they can have AI do their work, but also where they have to put in their focus and make sure that they're using their brains, because yeah, being a human is more powerful more powerful than AI, at least till now. So where do you think human thinking still matters most?
One of the things, support. And why support is because you can do whatever you want with AI right now. It doesn't mean you know why AI is doing it. So if you don't have the talent or you don't have the skills or to actually understand what you're getting from the AI, basically that would be more dangerous for you than just hiring someone. So I was talking actually with a friend like 2 days ago, and I told him like, look, with AI, you're not in 5 years, you're not gonna need an accountant because you will just there will be just an agent that will replace your accountant. However, you will need your accountant in other capacity, and it's the accountant who's gonna check what AI is actually bringing to you, what the AI is delivering, and he's the one who understands if it's correct or not. But if you are going to rely completely on the AI, well, you're going to have a lot of trouble in some aspects. I believe in, for example, in storytelling or content creation, I believe that there will be a new industry which is going to be like the AI creators. But for me, AI keeps learning from humans, but at this point has not the ability or the skills to create something completely new. And for me, that's where humans are gonna be still more important than the AI, because we are gonna start creating some things that AI can, of course, in the middle term can replicate it, but humans will always be ahead, one step ahead, one step ahead. In terms of filmmaking, I believe it's gonna be very difficult to AI to replicate what cinema does, not movies, cinema, artistic films, not no they can actually create great movies in the future, I believe. But something that is really important in the film industry is that even if you got a great budget, even if you got great talent attached to your movie, it's really difficult, and I would say impossible, to predict the outcome of the audience. So we have a couple of examples. For example, I'm just gonna put one. One of the best directors in the world, who's Damien Chazelle, and he directed Babylon. Babylon has Brad Pitt, has Margot Robbie, and has other talented, I cannot recall their names right now, which are really great talents. But the movie was not a great movie in the box office. In terms of a story, you can have, that's the beauty of art. You can have your opinions in terms of if the movie is good, if the movie is not good. But that's what I'm trying to put here in the conversation. It's really difficult to actually know the outcome. So it's gonna be the same with AI films. So they can create, there's gonna be teams focused on creating AI films. Yeah, and what? It's gonna be exactly the same. That doesn't mean it's gonna change anything, because humans, and in terms of taste, in terms of what they like, in terms of what they actually want to get from others is completely unique to everyone. So in terms AI, it's gonna be really generalistic. Let's put it in that way. It's gonna be so general, so everything is gonna look pretty much great. It's gonna change in terms of what the creator who's behind the AI, and the vision he wants to project, not only in films but also in design. But it's about one person or three people, or about just a small team. But it doesn't mean it will connect with the whole community. It doesn't mean it's gonna create any relevance in the culture, because culture is evolving every time. So yeah, so I believe humans are gonna be stronger in that, in terms of they're gonna be like the main support of AI. They need to be there. Of course, if you have accounting company, you're not gonna need 10 accountants. You're just gonna need three accountants, two accountants. In terms of film industry, I believe it's the film in terms of art. I believe it's gonna change a little bit, but it's gonna keep the same way it is. People will love to keep going to cinemas. People will love to shoot with these crews of talented people. And in the digital aspect, I believe there's some. I'm trying to work of the in this, and I'm calling it design telling. That's the term that I put it to, design telling, and it's about what is your design telling me. It's not about how good it looks, is what it's telling me, what's behind that design, what's behind that experience that I'm having. But like we start like when we start talking about this topic, is it's going to rely on what's your market, and what's your market, your target market, because at the end you can create great design telling ecosystems. But and yeah, that's a term that we started here in this class, talking about how we're going to approach the next years. But at the end, if your target market are people that are not used to design telling, so basically you have to keep doing the things really simple, really targeted, really focused, with just the user simple, with a simple user interface, with a simple UX experience, user experience, and a simple consumer experience.
Yeah, so where I was coming to is, from what I understand, you are saying AI, AI is of course amazing at what it does, but it still has not understood human psychology yet. And that is where us humans need, that is what we need to understand and make sure that our products tap into the human psychology and the human behavior, and make sure that it, gives them what they're looking for. Um, so speaking on human psychology, I've got a fun question for you. In your experience, what type of client is the most dangerous for a creative studio? Is it the client with no taste? Is it the client with no trust, no clarity, or is it the client with no budget?
Wow. I believe it's not about the client, it's about your studio and how clear your studios is during the whole process. So if, for example, if your client doesn't have any budget, you have to be really clear about what's going to be the scope of the project, because you have to put your feet on the floor and understand where you can go with that budget. And if your client does not understand that, well, don't work with them. Otherwise, you're going to be in great trouble. If it's about the client with no taste, it's about why the client, back to what I said, it's about yourself, why the client is looking for you. It's looking for, or why you want to work with that client. You have to be really clear about, okay, we are experts on this type of developments or on this type of creative vision. Because otherwise, and it's what's happening right now, it's like a lot of people can actually build a website now, and you got the tools online. You can learn those on 1 week, and you can be an expert in 1 month. But I think it's not about know how to do it. It's more about what you bringing to the table. And the other was one was budget, taste, and the other one was
No trust
no
and no
trust.
clarity. No clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's about yourself. If they don't trust you, it's because you're not clear. You've not been clear during the process. You're not being clear about the scope. You're not being clear about the outcomes. You're not being clear about how you're going to measure success. If you're clear on all those topics, you're in a great path, and the client will understand everything. You have to understand that sometimes you're working for example, in my case, sometimes I work with marketing directors, which is really easy because we can speak the same
Hmm.
language. But
Yeah.
sometimes you work with clients that any idea about have no idea about digital experiences. So the problem with those clients is that you
Hmm.
have to be so clear, and you have to be always work like a guide. Like, okay, let me show you how we can do this. So it works for you. And if the client doesn't trust on your experience and or on what you're trying to let them know it's the best path for their businesses or their projects, it's even better don't work with them, because if it's not trust
Hmm.
behind there, that's gonna be a really big headache when you are trying to deliver the product.
100%. 100% agree with you. Yeah. So one more question that I have in mind. You've obviously been in this industry for a long time now. You're pretty much a legend in this industry. So, what is one belief about branding or creative work that you held 5 years ago, maybe a little bit pre-AI, but that you don't no longer believe in? What's one such thing for you?
I, wow, that's a good question. Mm, I don't know if this answers the question, but I believe that when I started, or when I was starting this business, I knew what was my vision. I knew what was the input that I want to put behind my work, so people can actually get into a website or watch TV commercial or a short film or a film. And when they watch,
Mm-hmm.
they can notice that there's a print of Ramiro's work in those projects, that they don't have to wait for the
Mm-hmm.
craze. They don't have to go to the footer of a website to understand that Ramiro did it. They can, with the whole experience, they can notice that. And that makes me, at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, I
Mm-hmm.
was really proud about that. But I was so isolated on my perspective that I believe at one point I was like being left
Mm-hmm.
behind from other designers, other creative, other filmmakers. So what I believe now is that collaboration is one of the most important parts in these industries, and that collaboration cannot be replicated with AI.
Mm-hmm.
Collaborating with different developers, collaborating with different designers, collaborating with different filmmakers. Everyone has a different perspective, and every perspective is valued. and every perspective can give the project, even the worst idea that you can believe, can be
Hmm.
the trigger to something better. So I don't know if I'm answering the question in the right way, but for me now it's about community and people working together towards one same objective. At the beginning, I was thinking about me completely, and when I started, it was more about myself and what I want to bring, and what I want to print, and what how I wanted things to work. Now it's more about, okay, working with people that are better than me, people that can, of course, people that can understand my vision but do better things because they can implement something different as well. They have different perspectives that they can, and those ideas can be like a break point to any project.
That's amazing. And yes, 100%. Human touch is at the end what differentiates us from other species, and it's what makes us human. So I think AI is a long way before it can train itself to have that human touch to it, you know. But on that note, Rami, thank you so much for being the very first guest on Between Briefs. I honestly could not have asked for a better person to kick this off with.
Thank you, thank you.
So thank you. And for everyone listening, I'd urge you to connect with the legend himself on LinkedIn. I will attach his socials in the description, so feel free to reach out to him if you want some tips, some ideas, or if you're just maybe feeling low and want someone to talk to. This guy's an amazing person. So, Rami, absolute pleasure. Thanks again for joining Between Briefs, where I have conversations with Australia's digital builders. So, thank you so much, Rami.
Thank you, mate, for having me.